From the beginning of time, humans have tried to heal themselves with ritual and prayer, and with whatever nature provided. Through thousands of years of trial and error, formal systems of healthcare developed, systems based on foods, herbs, and other natural remedies. These systems live side by side with what we call Western medicine. Western medicine has been an enormous benefit in helping to conquer devastating infections and perfecting surgical procedures. But there is more to medicine than doctors and hospitals, and that's exactly what we'll explore this week on A Better Way to Health. Hello, I'm Stuart Shipe, a registered pharmacist, acupuncture physician, and Chinese herbalist. I'm your host this week. We make no effort to recommend or to judge, only offer that you explore a theory that good medicine comes in many forms. So let's get started. Phone lines are open for you for questions, comments, or experiences about your health. Let's hear from you.
Well, welcome to another show, folks. Thank you very much for tuning in and being with me today on another Better Way to Health episode, specifically where we combine the best, hopefully the best of Western and Eastern medicine together and give you some answers that maybe you haven't had success in healing or success in your healing journey. And maybe this show might change your life or give you some idea about thinking about your health a little bit differently. Hope all of those happen today. And certainly, if you have questions or comments, you can always get those to me. My phone, my office here, 772-398-4550, or online at info@traditionalchinesehealing.com. All great ways to find out more about traditional Chinese medicine and how we actually address illness or dis-ease in the body. Amazing, amazing medicine. So today, listen, I wanted to start out, I had a great, that I think is a really important issue about dealing with the springtime, right? Or talk about the first day of spring, which was March 20th. And we are definitely right in the mid of the spring season. And what does that do to health in Chinese medicine? You're not really going to hear this from Western medicine at all. What that does to our health, how do we stay valid? How do we stay active? Valid meaning, how do we keep our immune system primed? How do we keep our energy up? How do we keep our body balanced during the spring season? Because every season brings on different changes, right? Spring season, winter, summer, fall. But so I do want to talk about the spring season today, and specifically going into liver and gallbladder functions, because those two organs in Chinese medicine are tied into the spring season, and its energies are tied into the spring seasons. And you're going to find some reasons maybe why, if you're already unbalanced with your liver and gallbladder, why that's going to exacerbate right now symptoms during this season. But before I get into all of that, I don't have a whole show that I could devote to managing infection, but I did want to give you a small offset of Mpox. I don't know if you ever heard of that. The only reason I bring this up, it kind of caught my attention because it's kind of one of these things that's in the background right now, but gaining a lot of strength. And it's best to be alert and best to know about how to help our liver, what we just mentioned, how to help our liver in maintaining our immune system, because Mpox, formerly known as monkeypox, is an infection that's caused by the monkeypox virus, which is orthopox virus, the genus of orthopox virus. That is like things like smallpox or cowpox, same kind of family. You know, I'm just going to give you a brief rundown on this just so that you kind of are aware, alert, because this stuff is gaining some speed here. It was first discovered, monkeypox was first discovered in 1958, and it caused a disease in colonies of monkeys that were being kept for research. And they didn't kind of know what was going on, but it was first identified in humans in 1970, and that was in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. So it's called, the monkeypox virus is a DNA virus that's a member of that genus species, the orthopox virus genus, that includes, like I said, smallpox, cowpox. Now, the animal source isn't known yet of Mpox. We don't know where it's really derived. Things like African rodents, tree squirrels, primates may be susceptible to monkeypox and actually harboring this type of a virus as well right now. But human Mpox have been increasingly reported in Central and Western Africa. And most of the cases linked to travel or imported animals, right? So since May of 2022, again, like I'm saying, this stuff is creeping in the background. Mpox cases and clusters of incidents were reported in patients in a lot of different countries. So just as we kind of rolled out COVID, looks like we're rolling out transmission of Mpox. So at March 1st, 2023, which was actually last month, there were over 86,000 confirmed cases worldwide and more than 30,000 cases in the US, in the United States. So that caught my eye that if it's the incidence is increasing significantly, we probably should know something about that. And I have a feeling that you're going to hear more and more. I haven't heard anything in the media at all about this, but probably hear more and more as we get into the summer months here, because it's transmitted same kind of way as a virus, right? Close person-to-person contact, either contact with a rash, I'm going to talk about that in just a second, or scabs, or the respiratory secretions, or the saliva of an infected individual. And that can also be from intimate contact as well. So other routes of person-to-person transmission would be during pregnancy, skin piercing or tattooing, occupational exposure from a skin penetrating injury, that may be Mpox may be also transmitted from animals to humans through direct contact with lesions or their secretions, body secretions, respiratory secretions, urine, feces of an infected animal. So it's about contact, person to person or person to animal contact. Now, the data is showing that some infected individuals can spread Mpox to others between 1 and 4 days before the onset of their symptoms. So you can spread it just like we've seen with COVID. You could spread this and the person doesn't know that they actually even have the infection, which is, again, a little bit unnerving. Some of the risk of acquiring infection would include even touching objects. So this is a little bit different too. Touching objects or fabrics, such as like bedding or clothing or towels, have been shown used by an infected individual could actually create an infection. But of course, the risk of that inanimate objects harboring viruses for a long period of time is fairly limited, but you should, use good care if you have someone that actually has that infection that you're living in close quarters with, is to watch not sharing stuff like that. Now, here's the clinical. This is why I give you the information so that you can kind of be on the lookout. Mpox has an average incubation period about 3 to up to 17 days, but actually can even range even more, all the way up to 21 days, almost 3 weeks. So what happens is it progresses, these lesions progress through 4 different stages. The very first stage of that lesion is going to present as what they call a macula, or a flat lesion. And after 1 to 2 days, it develops into a papule, which is a raised lesion that starts kind of growing. And after 1 to 2 days there, papules form into vesicles. And vesicles would be kind of like if you've ever seen poison ivy. That would be a really clear case where you have a clear fluid in a pustule. That would be called a vesicle. And then vesicles ultimately transform into pustules, which can last for about 5 to 7 days, and then they will start crusting over. So again, you're looking at about every 1 to 2 days, it's going to change presentation. So over the next week to 2 weeks, before it crusts, you're going to go through a lot of different evolutions in the dermatological presence of that lesion. Now, the lesions from the current Mpox outbreak are frequently occurring in also the genital and rectal areas and in the mouth. So it doesn't literally have to be on the outside of the skin. That's why they're thinking, well, person-to-person contact in intimate areas, even oral or vaginal type sex can actually, or intercourse can actually cause that transmission to occur in those areas. And then that can get kind of nasty. Rectal symptoms like rectal pain, bleeding, bloody stools, respiratory symptoms like fever or extreme fatigue or headache or swelling in the lymph nodes in the neck. So just be on guard. I'm not going to go into a whole lot on this. Diagnostics usually are done in individuals where a new rash is developed in the presence of maybe an immune competent situation, or something's going on that doesn't look right. I just want to keep this on your mind that you probably should have this ruled out immediately by dermatology or by internal medicine or your family practice physician. Some of the supports for this, although fairly self-limiting, would be to do supportive care like pain control or management the itching or spread the infection, stop the spread of infection to others, managing it through making sure that it doesn't go anywhere. There are antiretrovirals, antivirus agents that are used for this, and there are vaccines. I would caution you in a lot of this is the very first prevention of Mpox virus is exactly that, is prevention, is don't wait for it to become opportunistic. And so that kind of dovetails into a presentation I wanted to get to today on liver function and how it's so imperative. You might not even know all the functions that the liver performs from a biomedical, but we're going to really blend in or mold in some of the Chinese theory about how this liver as an organ system that controls many, many facets of our health, once it's dysregulated or unbalanced, man, we can really start having some nasty symptoms start occurring. And now we know why, even without when you have Western doctors telling you, biomedical physicians saying, your labs look great, there's nothing wrong with you. And to kind of question that sometimes and say, yeah, I'm told that there's nothing really wrong with me, but how come I don't feel good then? How come I don't feel 100%? And why is that? And hopefully some of those answers from Chinese medicine will be gained today. So again, if you have questions, my phone number 398-4550. That's an area code 772. Getting a consultation evaluation is helpful. I say to all my listeners, if you have something going on that's just not right, get a consultation and find out initially, is Chinese medicine something that may help me or help bring my health back? Is it something I haven't explored yet that might be a healing intervention, either using with my biomedicine or my Western treatments or using it independently? So get that call either going onto the phone or on our website at traditionalchinesehealing.com. This liver function, I hear this all the time about, I want to do a liver cleanse, or I want to do a gallbladder cleanse, or I want to do a kidney cleanse. And I alluded to this in prior shows about, the thought more holistically when we do detoxification of certain organ systems, we're doing it as a complete unit instead of segmenting out like only a liver cleanse or only a gallbladder, because obviously if you're trying to purge, metaphorically purge the liver or purge the gallbladder of toxins, it just doesn't just like evaporate into air, it goes into the digestive system. So if you're not supporting the digestive system, then you don't have really an effective liver cleanse, because all of that stuff, all that supposed products, metabolic waste, are going to come right back to the liver. And we'll explain why that is in a little while here. So liver function, let's go over that first, because you might not even know what the liver is capable of. It's probably, after the heart, the most important organ in the system. It performs hundreds of functions. The very first one, the greatest that I think most people don't really think about, is the ability of circulation, the transfer of blood from the portal system, which is all of the circulation around the intestines, getting that back into systemic circulation, getting it into the blood supply. So the activity of the liver's kind of like filtering cells. They call them technically Kupffer cells. Really help in the immune system. So we don't really think about the liver as an immune organ. Of course, we don't think even the spleen or the lung, but it certainly is huge in the immune system. The liver stores and regulates the blood and is responsible for nourishing every cell in our body. Every part of our body depends on blood from the liver for nourishment and enhancement in Chinese medicine. So circulation is a huge portion of liver function. Also excretion. Now here's where we really kind of think about liver function, is the formation and secretion of bile. So the liver, from a biomedical point of view, is making and secreting bile salts, cholesterol, and then that's for the cleansing of the blood. But bile is for the digestion, and plus it helps remove ammonia from the blood and excretes a lot of other substances that are filtered from the blood, like heavy metals or dyes or toxins, fungicides, herbicides, and so forth. That's kind of where we really think of our body and really helping is like we're constantly moving, we're constantly purging substances, excreting substance from the liver. And then metabolism, this is another area that the liver really excels at that we don't really pay too mind about. And that's like carbohydrate and protein and fat metabolism. The liver is involved in all those. Oh, we get the fat idea, because it handles fats. And when it doesn't, we think, oh, our LDL is too high or our cholesterol levels are too high. Maybe the manufacturing and the storage of fats might be something important in the liver. But the critical key is the insulin and the dealing with carbohydrate and dealing with protein metabolism, also very, very important in the liver. Liver stores something called glycogen. And glycogen is stored energy, just kind of like waiting to be used. It's stored in the liver, it's stored in the skeletal muscles. And when we need that instantaneous purge of blood sugar rising, glucose rising in the bloodstream, the liver can be a major organ system that helps set out with that. And then the other thing is protection and detoxification. Of course, removal of foreign bodies from the blood, detoxification through a lot of different enzymatic systems that are going on in the liver. When I graduated, it's kind of I look back and say, wow, the advances that we've had in medicine since I even graduated back in the 80s from pharmacy school. We had one major liver metabolism system, cytochrome P450, it was called. And I remember things like Tagamet were drilled into our eyes, which is cimetidine. Some of these initial drugs that were in huge use in the United States, as a pharmacist, you had to kind of keep that cognitively in the back of your mind and say, wow, I really need to watch out for if that drug is going to be impacted in someone that had a liver disease. But we think today about liver disease still the same way we thought about it back in the 80s, which is wrong in the fact that if we wait for liver disease to progress to the point to treat it when it's so bad, now we're talking things like hepatitis, and we're talking Hep A, Hep B, Hep C, all the alphabet of the hepatitis organ systems, or a fatty liver. But the key is to catch it early and to identify some of the signs of liver toxicity. Because not only does it help like in the production of a lot of important clotting mechanisms in the body and destroying complexes of hormones and of metabolic waste. Metabolic waste meaning when a cell is taking in energy, it dumps its garbage too into the bloodstream, into tissues, and then ultimately the bloodstream. And the liver is really important here to kind of take that garbage out of the bloodstream, stick it into a format for excretion, which is bile salts, cholesterol, dump that into the gallbladder. Then from there on, the gallbladder takes over and excretes that into the digestive system. So then it would be a process of then trying to remove it, trap that toxin, trap that bile, and promote a bowel movement. Bowel movement, by the way, oh my gosh, talk about like, I don't know, I've heard some cases like 75 to 90% of all disease attributed to constipation because of this problem, because we're constantly retoxifying our body through this portal system of leaching toxins right back to the liver all the time. So the key also is regulation of hormones. Now, everybody knows that cholesterol is bad, right? Well, you think it's bad, but that's kind of a myth because cholesterol actually is the mother of all hormones created by the liver, secreted by the liver. And so cholesterol makes all of our hormones. And the liver not only is responsible for making the mother of all of our hormones, but it's also regulating our hormones. So as the blood is streaming back through the liver is activating and eliminating nasty hormones that are fractionated or have done their job. And that can stimulate things like, since androgens and estrogens both can stimulate growth hormones, which stimulate cell division, you got to kind of keep those levels in check. And the liver is a great organ system to do that. In turn, if you don't regulate uncontrolled estrogen or androgens like testosterone, then you have cell growth that might not be too good, like uterine fibroids in my ladies, endometriosis, breast cysts, breast cancer. In guys, the prostate enlargement or prostate cancer. So excessive estrogen is probably one of the most common causes of painful menstruations as well. So we don't really think about we think about, oh, we use bioidentical hormones or hormones to either slap on our skin or take orally to help balance our hormone systems. Friends, I'm telling you, that's not the balance that really is occurring in the body. The balance is occurring in the liver. And so if the liver is congested, I don't care how well you're diagnosed those bioidentical hormones. The problem is you're not getting that stuff resolved. You're not having a great balance in the liver system. And it does regulate a lot of body functions. In Chinese medicine, let's switch gears a little bit. The liver really has a huge affect on emotional and mental activities. We say the liver's blood is sometimes deplete or is not sufficient enough. So kind of think of it as this liver as a big storage vessel of blood. To the Chinese, blood is everything: hormones, vitamins, minerals, red blood cells, white blood cells. It's all contained in something the Chinese call blood. So when the liver blood is deficient, it doesn't nourish tendons. Blood vessels are curtailed, joints become stiff, muscles become spasmodic and numb. Blood deficiency in the liver also leads to things like stroke. It leads to dizziness, headaches, ringing in the ears, deafness, fainting, convulsions. And when the liver blood is so deficient, it can't nourish the eyes, things like night blindness or things like blurring of the vision or spots in the vision. This is crazy, right? You're listening to me and one by one, you're saying, okay, I got dizziness. I sometimes have headaches. I got ringing in the ears. I may feel a little bit faint. I have this internal tremor. I have a patient right now, just I seen this morning, that has this exact pattern. And when you start looking at the root cause analysis, now I'm not going to use for the dizziness, I'm not going to use meclizine. I'm not going to use for the ringing in the ears some kind of ENT prescription or formula. I'm not going to give you another drug for headache pain. I'm not going to give you another drug because for a muscle relaxant. See how that is so different in Chinese medicine. We don't really treat the symptom. The symptom is just identifying that we have a systematic problem. We have a system problem that is developing really uncurtailed from the liver in this instance. And since we're in spring, now let's dovetail the spring into this. Since the Chinese medicine theory says every single season is controlled in a different organ system, the season of the spring season, our current season, is really the season of the liver and the gallbladder. So if you already have congested liver, if you've got a fatty liver, if you're eating foods that aren't conducive to liver health, if you're not maybe helping support liver through detoxification measures, if you're not doing liver detox in that regard of supporting the liver's metabolic or enzymatic systems, then you're going to suffer when the spring season comes in. So why do people, my staff, my herbalist actually in the office says to me, Dr. Shipe, you go through these herbs like crazy in this certain season, and I get them in stock, and then all of a sudden you're on to something else. Why is that? And I was like, because we're not biomedicine. Because we don't give you a drug for high blood pressure, which is also a liver stagnation issue, most likely. We don't give you a drug and tell you got to take it for the rest of your life. We find the reason the organ system that's out of balance, balance that organ, specifically important, balancing it in its season, which if you want to treat the liver, now is a really good time, because as we get into the summer seasons and into the autumn seasons, if you don't balance the liver, this is the Chinese portion called feng shui in medicine. If you don't balance the liver now, you're looking for problems in the season opposite of the liver, which is the fall season. So why do allergies come on more aggressively? Why are the headaches more prevalent? Why is the dryness more prevalent in the autumn season? Is because you didn't handle it in the spring season. You didn't balance your body. And so as a good Chinese medicine, we're able to look not only where you are now, your pattern, but forecast where you're going to be in the future. And that's a beautiful thing, because it wasn't created by me. I don't gain any credit from that. Chinese doctors over thousands of years have been great observationalists and have been able to look at people, treat people, and then watch the outcomes, and then put that down into consecutive documentation for more than a couple thousand years of considerable documentation. So when we really think about cleansing the liver, we're not only thinking about cleansing it from toxins, we're thinking about cleansing it from emotions too, right? The liver's emotion unbalanced is irritability, anger, vexation, not being able to get something that we want all the time. The liver is the most sensitive emotional organ, and its weakness is connected to emotional sensitivity. So explosive type energies or emotions are often prominent with liver qi stagnation. Going off I don't know what the acronym is for, like going off the reservation, they might say, where someone has emotional outbursts, then I would consider, wow, that person and the staff is surrounding me and saying, oh my gosh, that person's out of control. As like the person is not out of control. Their emotions are out of control because the organs are unbalanced. You have to see past the emotion and find the root cause of that disorder. So when we get back, we're going to take a short break. We're going to get back. You want to stop a heart attack? You want to stop memory loss. You want to stop the constant fatigue and tiredness. You want to stop so many other problems. We have to look at the liver, especially we're going to start with the heart. How can you have a heart attack from a liver problem? We're going to talk about that based on Chinese medicine principles right when we get back from this short break. Listen, folks, if you have questions, comments, you want to hear something on the show, give us a call at the office here, 772-398-4550, or online at traditionalchinesehealing.com. We'll be happy to respond to that request and get you the information that you need to get yourself onto a better way to health as well. I'm Dr. Stuart Shipe. We'll be right back.
You're listening to A Better Way to Health with me, Dr. Stuart Shipe, lead physician at Women's Traditional Chinese Healing. To book your consultation, please call 772-398-4550 or book online at traditionalchinesehealing.com. Ladies, your time has come. No longer will you be a slave to drugs, sleeping pills to put you out, caffeine to wake you up, pills to ease your pain, hormones to regulate your cycle, addictive drugs to calm your anxiety, and antidepressants to lift your mood. Find the root cause of your imbalance and quit treating only the symptoms. You deserve so much more out of life. Women's Traditional Chinese Healing was created for you. Welcome to A Better Way to Health. Our experienced physicians listen to your concerns and formulate an individualized treatment approach to bring you back into balance. We specialize in women's natural health care. When was the last time you really felt amazing? If you don't remember, let us help you refresh your memory. I invite you to contact our office for a consultation with our physicians to determine if you are a good candidate for what we have to offer. Call 772-398-4550 or online at traditionalchinesehealing.com. That's 772-398-4550 or traditionalchinesehealing.com. Thanks for listening to A Better Way to Health. I'm Dr. Stuart Shipe, founder and lead physician at Women's Traditional Chinese Healing. We're a unique natural healing haven for women of all ages. Like many women today, you might feel like you're battling your body, struggling with fatigue, headaches, sleeplessness, pain, hormonal imbalances, digestive issues, allergies, and those few stubborn pounds you've put on. Western medicine often ignores the root cause of your symptoms, but at Women's Traditional Chinese Healing, we work together to get to the source of your symptoms and bring your body's function back so that you feel energized, comfortable, and balanced. If you're wondering if my practice is a good fit for you, I invite you to book a consultation by calling 772-398-4550 or online at traditionalchinesehealing.com. Again, that's 772-398-4550 or online at traditionalchinesehealing.com.
This is A Better Way to Health with Dr. Stuart Shipe of Women's Traditional Chinese Healing. Get back to living by booking your consultation at 772-398-4550 or online at traditionalchinesehealing.com.
There is a wave, folks. There is a wave of change coming at us as we talk more and more about natural medicine and natural health. I think people are starting to get the idea that it's so much better to prevent disease than to treat it after it's already began its journey. Welcome back to A Better Way to Health. Dr. Shipe here. I'm happy that you actually decided to continue to listen to the show. A lot of people, when you start getting technical and you start talking biochemistry and you start talking about a lot of the systems that are going on in the body, is sometimes maybe not that exciting. But I will tell you, it's something that we have to be alert to and we have to be cognitive of, because the body's ability to detoxify, and talking about the liver, is probably one of the major determinants of your health overall. So you say, I don't have any problems with my liver, Dr. Shipe. I've got I've got arthritis problems. Then you got a liver problem. I don't have any problems, Dr. Shipe, with my liver, but I've got a constipation issue. You got a liver problem. I don't have any problems with my vision. I don't have any problems with my heart. And I'm telling you, liver is involved in so many different systems in it, helping the system in its function, that it would probably make your head spin. Conservatively, up to about 25% of the US population that looked at some of the studies suffer from heavy metal poisoning to some kind of extent. So the problem is that you don't even know. I refer to an amazing guide. It's a little bit technical, but the book was made called Toxic, Toxic, by Dr. Neil Nathans. He's an MD. And I mean, it's really kind of fascinating when you look at today's paradigm, such complex diseases and such complex maladies that people have been carrying for so long and learning to live with them, which is really even more frightening. That when we really think about, even in the ancients, and when the Huangdi Neijing, the Yellow Emperor's classic of Chinese medicine, told of us, the emperor had asked his Chinese physician, his consort, said, how come today we have to use really strong herbal medicines and tinctures, wines, to bring people's health back, when in the old days, and now he's talking about, this was 4,000 years ago, right? Because Huangdi was about 2000 BC. So 4,000 years ago, he's asking this question. He said, how come in the old days, which may be 6,000 years ago, people healed with just using medicinals, with the plants, putting the plants into wines and taking their herbs that way. And the key that came back was very eye-opening, because Chibo, his Chinese consort, his physician, said to him, well, Huangdi, the reason why is that people didn't follow the Tao at that point. And the Tao, kind of translating to nature's way, it's like, if you go to bed early and you eat healthy, all the simple things that we should be doing every day, that we don't. And we don't live in harmony with our environment anymore. We're eating foods that are designed as chemistry experiments instead of fresh whole foods. We're not getting rest. We're overworking. We're not sweating. We're not using bowel movement. We're not getting enough fiber in our diet. We're not hydrating well. The list goes on. I mean, those are the ones I mentioned were my 9 focuses just in general. And the reason I don't even want to spend a lot of time on them, we kind of know them, but we have to be reminded every once in a while how important they are. According to the Chinese, a structural portion of the liver acts as kind of a bridge between blood returning from the digestive system in the lower part of the body and going to the heart as it enters the general circulation again. Then that's an important organ, the liver would be, for the health of the heart. Because if you've got a weakened or a swollen or a congested liver, even a fatty liver problem, it can obstruct the venous flow, which is the flow of blood through the veins that ultimately is returning from the intestines back to the liver. The liver is acting as this bridge, this filtration system, so to speak, of all, they call them sinusoids of the liver, that are actually filtering this blood before it goes back into the general circulation again. So hence, that would be why when you heard, oh my gosh, that person had poisoning, mushroom poisoning or toxic poisoning, what's the first organ system usually to fail? It's the liver, because the liver takes the first hit of the absorption of that poison or that toxin from the intestines going right through the liver. So it is designed that way to be that protective mechanism for our systems, that if we are eating bad foods or we eat toxin or poisons, that we depend on that detoxification system of the liver to support us so that that toxin or poison doesn't get directly in the bloodstream. It would immediately kill us. So if you've got a weakened or a swollen or congested liver, you don't have good blood flow to the heart, start thinking about things like heart palpitations, even heart attacks. In other words, a healthy liver is really essential at maintaining an adequate amount of blood flow to the heart. And the heart can only pump the blood it receives. So the liver is kind of the gatekeeper in that scenario. If you've got, so common in my office, things like mental loss or age-related vision problems. So the Chinese say the liver and the kidneys are the organs that age us. The organ of longevity has always been the kidney system, or the kidney organ system, that controls the memory, controls the bone, the house of the lower back, strength in the legs, our reproductive organs, all controlled by the kidney. But as longevity herbs used in Chinese, almost all longevity herbs used in Chinese medicine are really liver and kidney tonics. So I had a patient yesterday ask me, Dr. Shipe, do I have to take this herb for the rest of my life like a drug? And I was like, absolutely not. The herbs are only designed to treat the pattern that you currently have. And once the pattern shifts, once the symptoms go away, you no longer need that specific formulation. But what if you want to start promoting wellness? There's nothing really wrong with the system. It's in optimum shape. How do you keep it there? How do you maintain that optimum capacity of the body's liver function? Well, support it. And you can support it with herbal medicines. These are called tonics. So without a clean, efficient, so to speak, liver and healthy kidneys, blood is not being filtered clean. You might want to say it's kind of dirty blood, right? Metaphorically, loaded with toxins, waste products, heavy, sluggish, causes poor circulation, reduced capacity to carry oxygen, nutrients. As a result, the tissue and the organ cells become malnourished and undernourished. If this condition persists for a long period of time, you're going to see deterioration, degeneration occurring. And if it's in the eyes, inevitably, not only the age, but if it's in the eyes, the brain is also affected in that area as well. There was this is a long time ago, 1988, right? A couple of years after I got out of school. This was from the Mayo Clinic. I found this article, Mayo Clinic Health Letter, an article on Alzheimer's disease. It says malfunction of the liver and kidneys was mentioned as one of the causes leading to Alzheimer's disease. And brain tumors. Brain tumor, which physically blocks blood flow to the brain, was cited as one of the causes as well. Now, the brain's only about 2% of our body weight, but the brain needs 20% of our oxygen supply. 1/5 of our oxygen is needed by the brain. And if the toxin-loaded blood from a weak liver has the limited capacity to transfer oxygen to the brain, can you see how that can affect brain cells as well? And it's not really, we think about, what can we do with the damage of the brain? Our current theory on Alzheimer's, that it's this inflammation, dysregulation of blood sugar, deficiency of nutrients, vitamins, minerals, and also toxicity that's causing the damage to the brain cell that our brain is trying to repair. And in that repair process causes more fibrillary tangles, they call them, and disruption in these nerve cells in the transmission of nerve impulses. And the critical key is they forgot about the liver. When you really look at disease in its totality, you really should be looking, as functional medicine is learning in a functional model, at the body as a systematic whole. And the whole, as its pieces, are not individualized. So what I mean by that is, you probably heard of the whole is everything of its parts, but not all the parts individually can make up a whole. And that means that there's reasons for this systematic support of organ systems, from the liver to the heart, from the liver to the kidneys. So important is detoxification mechanisms in a biomedical model for the kidney. I would call my liver my third kidney. Or if you want to call the kidney the third liver, they're so closely bound as far as hormonal control, signaling, elimination of toxins. Because don't forget that part of the detoxification process of the liver, once it's finished with its enzymatic processes of getting rid of toxins, getting rid of heavy metals, all that, I say it goes out through the bile salts, cholesterol to the gallbladder, but don't forget that a large portion of it excreted directly into the kidney. So, and the body prefers that. The liver prefers actually just changing things to a water-liking capacity and putting it out right in the liver. I mean, right in the kidney. Through excretion of the kidney, through urination. So here we have problems too. If you have problems with urinary, hesitancy or urgency, or you have storage of the urine, you got to get that stuff out of the system once it's released from the liver. Constant fatigue. When blood's loaded with toxins, people come to me and say, Dr. Shipe, I have this mental fogginess or cloudiness. I have some like muscle headache pain, especially whole head pain, like a gripping vice, or I have headache on my top of my head, or I have headache on the side of my head, on the temple area. What's going on with me? And I was like, you have liver toxicity, or liver, in Chinese, we call it liver qi stagnation, which qi is like this energy, this vital life force, that the liver is a commander of this qi in Chinese medicine, like the general. And the general commands his army of qi to go to every single orifice, every single cell in the entire body, all the way out to the tips of the fingers and the tips of the toes. That's the liver's job, and based on Chinese medical principles. So if the blood's loaded with toxins and we have a weak or inefficient liver qi stagnation, then we have a limited capacity to carry blood, oxygen, and nutrients that are necessary for energy. And our body becomes toxic or burdened. And in Neil Nathan's, what I referred to back, his book on toxicity, it becomes a toxic burden. And that is very, very interesting concept, because a lot of people, I'm healthy, I feel great when I do consultations, right? Why would I need to come for a consultation or evaluation in Chinese medicine? You have no clue about inflammation or detoxification systems that have become already stagnant or have become already a problem. You just don't have the symptom yet. It doesn't mean that you're 100% optimal functioning right now. And how do we tell that? How does a Chinese medicine tell that? You don't have to tell me. We look at the eyes, we look at the tongue, we can check the ears, we can check the skin, we can check the feet, we can check the hands. There's so many different microcosms that we would call, like this holographic image. If you took one cell and blew it up, you would have you again. We look at different systems diagnostically, and the body will tell us if it's imbalanced, because the Chinese doctor knows what health is, what the criteria of health is. And it starts even with the tongue. Stop right now, pull over if you have to, if you're listening to me in the car, and look at your tongue in the rearview mirror. Do you see that your tongue has a little red tip to it? Do you see that there's a little bit of a red edge to the left or the right? Congratulations, liver qi stagnation is upon you already. And if it starts steeping into the spleen's function, the digestive function, you're going to start noticing that tongue coating starts getting yellow, greasy, thick. And if you've got that going on, now that spleen function is going to ultimately start creating a pattern of a lot of damp in the body, moisture that becomes trapped that you can't get out, further compensating or further stopping this liver qi from being able to flow. It has to do, folks, when you think about Chinese medicine, the liver congestion, the liver stagnation as common liver problems, you have to understand, if you ask your physician this, your conventional doctor or conventional medicine, they don't understand any of this. They're going to say, well, that's foreign. That doesn't even make sense. But there's no test to detect that. I think that the closest would be, now we actually have the ability to detect fatty liver disease. I can't remember steatorrhea, there's liver stagnation, but there's an actual machine, kind of like, I think, like a DEXA scan that actually can detect fatty liver. So if you do have a fatty liver, what is that saying? You're depositing fat literally into your liver. And does that make the liver more effective or less effective? Well, you don't need to be a rocket science for that. Of course, it's less effective, right? But conventional medicine, without understanding how to detect liver problems really, really early, ends up with hepatitis, liver inflammation, liver enzymes elevated in the blood, because the ruptured liver cells, when you look at your blood sample and your doctor takes a measurement, he's going to do a comprehensive metabolic panel or maybe a liver function panel. When he does that, he's looking to see not the function of the liver, he's looking to see the death of the liver. Now, let me explain. AST and ALT, these transaminase blood tests, you can ask your physician to run these if he hasn't already, are a description of a transaminase, or the level of a transaminase in our bloodstream. What is a transaminase? It's an enzyme that's released from a hepatic cell, from a liver cell, when it dies. When it gives up the ghost, it releases a transaminase, this enzyme, into the system, which we can pick up on a blood test. So you can tell if the levels of the transaminases are elevated, and elevated is not literally like 40, 50, 60, when the range is anywhere from maybe 10 to 34, or 10 to 40. When I'm already in the 20s, I'm already telling people, you have liver qi stagnation already. I love all my ladies in the teens because it's the optimal level. If you wait for those transaminases to really be high, then the doctor is going to say, now you have liver congestion. Now you have something going on in your liver or your gallbladder because your liver enzymes are elevated. However, in a liver congestion or stagnation, the liver cells are still intact and liver enzymes in the blood are normal. They're not going to find that. Therefore, normal clinical tests, which rely on enzyme levels as a measure of liver condition, cannot detect the congestion or the stagnation that the Chinese medicine doctor is already picking up. I hope that kind of makes sense to you. If you wait for the Western design test to tell if you're healthy or not healthy, you're going to have a rude awakening when all of a sudden you wake up and your liver enzymes are critical and they've gone off the charts, and now you're looking at gallbladder problems, or you're looking at liver functioning that's significant. According to Chinese medicine, all these internal organs work as a team. The liver, like I said, is the chief of staff. He's the general. He makes sure that everything is circulating. Unfortunately, many of our modern prescription drugs, here we go again at what we're doing to our body, are actually causing more damage to the liver and cause liver qi stagnation. Remember when I told you that I only had one metabolic enzymatic system in the liver that I learned about, the cytochrome P450 system? Now these kids coming out of school, out of pharmacy school, that have been in my externships and my rotations here in the office, oh my gosh, are they smart kids? But man, the amount of data, the amount of knowledge, now there's an endless amount of research on multiple liver enzyme systems, so much so that they can predict if you take a specific drug and you have a deficiency in this specific liver enzyme system, look out, you're looking for adverse side effects or trouble. They actually have nicknamed that now literally prescriptive or preventative medicine, in trying to match the drugs to your metabolism, which is kind of crazy. But over-the-counter stuff, over-the-counter drugs like painkillers or antihistamines, not even knowledgeable you are when you're purchasing or taking these products that you really are impacting the liver. And of course, healthy people are not dependent on drugs. The liver has been filtering blood night and day without actually being cleansed. But over the years, the end result is sluggishness, heaviness, poor circulation. And the studies linking liver damage to excessive or long-term use of painkillers is very prevalent in the literature. So we have to watch a weakened liver. The liver processes, weakening the liver and eventually toxicity, are usually slow processes, folks. You're not looking for speedy things. That's why, to catch it early, like the Chinese say, why wait to forge your weapons when the battle's already begun? Why wait to dig the well when you're already thirsty? It doesn't make sense to a Chinese doctor that practices true preventative medicine, that really looks at the system and says, wow, if you can pass this test, which is my test of health, you are in pretty good condition. If all the signs and all the presence in front of me, and I'm able to use intuition, I'm able to use all these great diagnostics in Chinese medicine and in Western medicine, if we can really help support your system now. Nature has endowed our livers with excellent regenerative powers. It's so crazy. If you take and cut a portion of the liver, non-vascular portion of the liver will actually grow back. It's a wood organ. If you chop a branch off of a tree, the tree will grow another limb. So the Chinese acquainted the liver to a wood system. And the wood is part of the spring season. As things are coming up from the earth, up and out blossoming, so is the liver chi, so is the liver's energy blossoming. And if it comes up obstructed, stagnated, or congested, you're going to have problems, medical problems. So liver cleansing, I didn't get enough time to get into all of the important type. There's so many beautiful herbal medicines that are available for us to really help support liver cleansing. Some of the bitters in Chinese medicine, we call them Chinese bitters, are very, very effective at helping, especially gentian, longdan sao. These are herbs that are amazing for clearing liver stagnation, for getting that liver back on track again. And of course, if we look at just general detoxification, here's the 9 criteria, right? Good diet. If you listen to most of the people talking about holistic nutrition, follow that. Avoid stimulants, avoid a lot of alcohol, wine, and other. It's just during this period of time, it's not conducive to good liver health. Exercise, hydration, keeping the mind calm, whether that's meditation, whether that's prayer, tai chi, qigong, yoga, many, many practices calm the mind. Make sure you're doing plenty of fiber. Once that toxin is coming out into the digestive system, it's a good thing to get it trapped and out through the back end. Sweating, support the skin. It's an amazing detox organ. And part of that is developing a good sweat. If you don't sweat, consider yourself already toxic. If you have problems with bowel movements, consider yourself already toxic. Promote the bowel movement. Fasting. Give the digestive system a break once in a while. Give the liver a break once in a while and help it just by simple fasting. And then we forget about my most important 9th is rest. We don't give the body enough rest and capacity to help when we're supporting the liver in its detoxification. Let all the energy of the body go to that detoxification process. I hope you enjoyed the show today on liver cleansing and the spring season, how these two are so closely tied together. Get a consultation and evaluation going on. 398-4550 is my phone number, 772 as an area code, or get online at traditionalchinesehealing.com. And don't wait for the liver symptoms to come on. Literally get them early. Symptoms are not the end result of disease. They are the end result. They're not the first problem that occurs. They're the end problem. So get it treated before you get symptoms going on. Hope you enjoyed it. Listen, if you have comments or questions, I always love those on the show. Give our office a call again, 772-398-4550. We want to give you good programming and really good education for things that are important to you. I'm Dr. Stuart Shipe. We'll catch you next week on A Better Way to Health. Sai Jen.
Thanks for listening to A Better Way to Health. Discover health, wellness, and healing by booking your consultation with Dr. Shipe. Call 772-398-4550 or book online at traditionalchinesehealing.com.